Many years ago, in a small village, there lived a woman named Adanne. She had two beautiful daughters called Amara and Urema. Adanne, even though, gave birth to both children, but did not love them equally. She gave birth to Amara, filled with love and joy in her heart. As the first fruits from her womb, after her marriage, she did not cease to praise their gods each passing day. 3 years after Amara was born, she gave birth to Urema, her second daughter. Adanne kept Urema in the room for weeks without attending to her. She never bought any clothes and shoes for her. Urema grew up wearing her sister's old clothes and shoes all the time. Adanne never for once in her life treated her as her own. Urema performed all the domestic works in the house. Amara would never lift a plate or help her sister Urema do anything. Adanne treated her as a princess, and so did Amara saw herself as a princess. Amara sometimes wondered why her mother treats them differently, but then she never cared because she was happy with the kind of luxury life she was living. Several times, Urema also thought of how her lifestyle was absolutely different from her sister Amara. One moment, she even thought aloud and said, maybe she was a bastard. Urema was very humble and respectful. The villagers were all concerned about the well-being of Urema because she was working beyond her strength, and also Adanne and Amara's maltreatment towards her was worrisome. No one in the village understood why someone would be treating her own child the same way as Adanne. Urema was cooking in the kitchen one day. Urema, as a result of excessive and restless works, she fell asleep while the pot of food was still on fire. Adanne and Amara sensed the smell of the burnt food from outside. They both entered the kitchen and shouted the hell out of Urema. Adanne sacked Urema from the house that very night for causing a loss to the family. She said Urema had misused the food items and also damaged the pot. She called her all sorts of unpleasant names. Adanne sacked her without a second thought of where she would be going to. Urema went to a kind neighbor called Olumide, who welcomed her into his home. Amara and her mother were excited that the witch had finally gone out of the house. They had their freedom and they were living happily. One day, Amara was in the house when two men came and informed her Adanne had gotten an accident on her way home from the market. Amara rushed to the hospital as soon as possible. When she got there, her mother's condition was very bad. The doctors informed her Adanne could no longer use her legs for the rest of her life. She was paralyzed. This news was not easy to handle by Amara. She could not believe her mother would never be able to walk again. Some days later, Adanne was being discharged from the hospital. Urema went home to see her mother as soon as she heard the news, but she was sacked from the house. Adanne and Amara told her to send her bad luck away. They said she was the one who caused the accident in the first place. Urema left the house with tears flowing in her eyes. Adanne's condition never got better. Amara was not taking proper care of her. She could not cook for her because she never knew how to cook. They ate from neighbors who were kind enough to bring to them food from time to time, even though it was not consistent. So many times, Adanne slept with an empty stomach and even without taking her medications. All her clothes and her room was smelling. Amara was busy living her life. She was too occupied to perform house chores. Adanne asked her several times to at least wash her clothes and cook for her, but Amara would say she could not use her clean hands to hold smelly clothes, and besides, she could not even cook. Amara told her mother she was not a house help. Adanne on her sick bed was always sad and as a result, was dying slowly because of her daughter's attitude towards her. Adanne thought Amara would reciprocate her love for her by taking care of her in her times of need. This made Adanne sad and depressed. Few weeks later, Amara told her mother she was leaving to the city to find a better life rather than sitting in the village with some smelly dying old woman. She left the house with her bags, leaving Adanne alone. Adanne was shocked. This made her shed tears and regretted forever loving her the way she did. After some days, Urema heard people in the village talking about what Amara did to her mother. She quickly went back home to her mother. Urema cleaned the house, washed all her mother's clothes, and cooked for her. Adanne was, however, ashamed of herself for the way she treated Urema. She was surprised that Urema did not pay her back with evil. Urema stayed in the house and took care of her mother. She laughed with her and made her feel happy. Adanne found happiness again. She asked Urema why she did not abandon her to die, despite all she did to her. Urema told her she still loved her as a mother, even in the midst of the maltreatment. Adanne could not believe it. Her eyes were filled with tears. She asked Urema to forgive her. Urema, whose heart was filled with unconditional love, forgave her mother. She, however, asked her mother why she hated her so much. Adanne answered and said that it all started when she was pregnant with her. She had so many cravings for different things as a result of her pregnancy. Her husband, whom she loved dearly, one day went to the river to catch some fresh fish for her because such was what she craved for. He drowned in the water and died as a result of her pregnancy cravings. She blamed it all on Urema for making her lose her beloved husband while she was pregnant with her. She said it was Urema who killed her husband. Adanne lost all her love for Urema even before she was born. She blamed her for the loss of her husband. Urema felt sad after hearing the story. They both had a moment of silence for a while. Adanne and Urema forgave each other. They started a new chapter of their lives together. Urema took good care of her mother, and her condition was even getting better than expected. Adanne was once again around someone who loved her unconditionally, and thus helped her psychologically and emotionally. Meanwhile, Amara was in the city where she did not find things easy. Life was really hard for her. Nothing seemed to be going on well for her. Her character sucked people away from her. She could not work anywhere she went to because she still wanted to be treated as a princess. Urema, on the other hand, found love in a very rich man who came to the village to find true love. Everyone recommended Urema for him. They said Urema was the only hardworking, kind-hearted, respectful, and good lady they have ever seen. Urema, after some investigations about the particular man and from the blessings of her mother, accepted to marry him. Urema moved to the city with him and with her mother. Adanne was happy of the way her daughter cared for her. Amara could not withstand the hardships of life. She finally agreed to come back home and live with her smelly and dying old mother in the village. When she got to the house, they told her her family had moved to the city. She asked for directions and went to the city in search of them. Urema received her sister with love. Amara apologized for being a spoiled child over the years. They all forgave each other. Amara turned from her bad ways. She stayed with her family in humility. She learned how to cook and performed other chores she never knew how to do. Amara and Urema took care of their mother with love. Few years later, Amara found a man who loved her, and she got married to her. Adanne was happy for her daughters. She was properly taken care of for the rest of her life. Some of the moral lessons to be learned from the story is that unconditional love and forgiveness can lead to healing and restoration. And also, kindness and compassion can overcome even the deepest hate. Please subscribe to the channel, like, comment, and share to others. See you in our next story. Thanks for watching. Bye.